Hi guys, it's time for me to show you how to make this venison stuffed pepper. This is our venison burger here. The recipe I just kind of flashed there. I tweak it a little bit. I've tweaked it into my own recipe. This is originally done with burger, so you can do it with burger. You can do it with turkey meat, chicken meat, as long as it's in a, burger style, hamburger style kind of meat. Now a lot of people like to take the tops off and use them as a hat for this meal. I like to put them aside and use them for other meals. So I make a frittata. I'll leave a link for that. And I use the tops to put in the frittata because my husband's favorite peppers are the colored ones. And I don't grow those very well. I grow green peppers very well. I just don't have the patience to, well, I have the patience, I just don't have the ability to keep the bugs off of them because I grow organically all that time for them to turn color on me. So I'm putting the tops aside and I'm gonna put them in a freezer bag and save them for that frittata later. I make a frittata once a week, and just so my husband can have a bunch of eggs whenever he wants them. And it's a good recipe to get rid of a bunch of eggs too. And I have new layers, so they're laying like crazy. Now in a minute you're going to see briefly that I do cut the bottoms off of these to make them lay flat. And I can also throw those in my bag too to stick in the frittata later. Now this meat, because I put it in here frozen, I love that you can do that with hamburger and get away with it. And because we didn't put it out this morning, we waited until noon. So now I'm going to cut up a whole onion and put it in there. Now you're going to see later that I do save the tops and the outer skin of my onion, and I save that. Being a homesteader, we make our own broth, which is healthier for you, and we like to make bone broth, but we used to stick half an onion in there, and I don't know who I learned it from, but it was a great idea. I just take the tops off now, and I put it, skin and all, in the bone broth, and it makes great bone broth. The color of the onion on the outside actually makes the bone broth colored more yellow like you see in the store. So one whole medium smallish onion is gone in there. This is a little more than a pound of meat, of venison. You can use a whole pound of just, any kind of burger you want again. I love this tool. I'll leave a link to this tool below. Fantastic tool, especially I like to use it on the frozen meat, and later on you'll see me using it. I throw some frozen rice in here that I had made, and of course I had leftover rice, so I put it in the freezer for later, and this recipe is what I put it in for, but you can use it for all kinds of recipes that take a little rice in it, because it calls for 1.5 cups of rice, and it's already cooked and I don't have to make it. Now this is not a really fatty meat at all. It's really low in fat actually. So I didn't worry about draining off any of the excess fat on this. We're gonna put 2 heaping bowls, tablespoons of garlic in here. The recipe calls for 6 cloves. I'm out of fresh garlic right now, so this is what I'm using. Next year I'll make my own minced garlic. It's pretty simple. I have garlic in the ground as we speak. Now this is my frozen rice that I've been keeping in the freezer. And we're gonna add 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I changed this up because I am really sensitive to salt. So I just put a pinch of kosher salt in there. And a tablespoon of pepper. Teaspoon, sorry, of pepper. And I put 2 cans of low sodium tomatoes, diced tomatoes. The recipe does call for 1 can of diced tomatoes and 1 can of tomato sauce. I could have blended it up, but I actually like it better this way, this recipe. I do 1/4 of a cup of parsley, and when I saw this recipe, I was shocked on the amount of parsley, but it is the right amount, I'm telling you. And I was shocked at the amount of garlic, and it is the right amount, I'm telling you. So, it is yummy. Now a little Italian seasoning, a teaspoon of this. I like to put a tablespoon in. Mix that all together. Now I'm using this again right now. That rice is under there and it's hard as a rock. And so I am just pounding it down, getting it mixed in there. There I go. I'm gonna put that in my freezer and save it for some chicken broth or beef broth or whatever. Now I put a good handful. It calls for 1/2 cup, but I put probably a cup of mozzarella in here. And this is when it is done and ready to go into our peppers. Now, I will go ahead and leave the recipe the way I've done it in this video because it was absolutely delicious. Again, if you wanted to, you could do if you're not big on the chunks of tomato, you could add the other half as just tomato sauce. So, but I find that that is too salty for my body, so I don't do that. I don't like blowing up like a balloon. Now I always find that I have a lot left over, so I just kind of put that on the side of, that's why I I don't stuff my peppers close together and put them in a smaller pan, because I always have a little bit left over because our stuff is a little more than a pound of meat. So I just dump it down the sides. So that's why it looks a little messy, but oh so yummy. Now, of course, we got to put some more mozzarella cheese on top. It's the way to go, folks. Yum, yum. Thank you, Piggly Wiggly, for this sensible mozzarella cheese, as far as price anyways. And then we got to get a little crunchy. So, hold on here. We are going to put some panko breadcrumbs on top. That gives just that little bit of crunch when you bite into it, melted with the cheese. So delicious, guys. And then just to make it look pretty and give that crust a nice little taste, a little more parsley just to make it look pretty. And there you go. Now we're going to stick this in the oven at 350. Actually, I recommend it at 4. I've made this about 6 times now. It is our favorite recipe, and I don't know why I stuck it in at 350. It should have been at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. Now, each time I've done this recipe, the time has been different. So, just until your peppers are soft, just like this. Thank you for coming, and God bless. I hope you enjoy.